Hi guys, how are you today? I'm a little excited, yes, and I just wanted to jump right into this next session in our clarity mindful mindful mindset series. Almost forgot the name of the series. Okay, it's the clarity mindset that we're doing. And remember, we spoke already about, in the first session, we spoke about ambivalence and the fear of change. And then in the second, we spoke about procrastination and the lack of clarity. And the third, we spoke about the fear of failure, or what failure really is. And you can find those, as you know, on my YouTube channel, which is KingdomPreneur, Alchemy of Wealth and Entrepreneurship, and also on my Facebook page, which has the same title. Okay, but I'll post those in the link underneath the video. But I wanted to talk in this fourth session about, just making some space here, to speak about success, and what I'm calling this session is the fear of success. And the fear of success, but it's not about the fear of success. So the fear of success, but it's not really about the fear of success. It's about some other things. And by the way, I'm Satella DeVoe, and I'm a mindful mindset strategist that works with creative entrepreneurs, small and business and enterprise owners, basically just helping them to get clarity on, who they are and what it is they want to do, and building a system around that and monetizing that system. But I'm really a facilitator, not so much as a coach. I'm an intuitive person, and I facilitate you in helping you to get clarity on what it is, your big vision, opening up your soul scroll and understanding what it is that you were put on this earth to do, and helping you to come to terms with that, because sometimes a lot of people are fighting that, and it leads right into what we're talking about, because this is what causes people to struggle with success. We have so many issues based on the way that we've created this world system and how things are set up and what people call success, what they identify as success. And, we have these labels that we put on ourselves that tells us if you are making 7 figures or 10 figures, my goodness, that then you're successful. But you're not really successful if you're not in that category, or you have to be some, athlete or some Silicon Valley type person. And that's not necessarily true, because success can be defined on a number of levels. You can be successful if you're fulfilling your mandate and what you were put on this earth to do, and that divine contract that you made with the Creator, why you came here and doing the things that you do. And in doing that, you are successful. So the person who came here, and somebody may look at them and say, well, they never worked in the secular marketplace. They were a stay-at-home person, mom, a stay-at-home dad. How could you call them success? Well, if they raise phenomenal, great children, and even if they didn't, if that is what they agreed to, and when they agreed to come to this earth and they fulfill that mandate, they've been successful. So success then needs to be determined and identified and clarified from your internal standpoint, because your level of success is not my level of success. My level of success is not your level of success, because it calls for different things. And sometimes, as I said before when we spoke earlier in ambivalence, that causes a lack of clarity, that causes us to resist change, is that we're carrying around other people's points of view. We're carrying around, other person's energetic resonance around a particular subject matter, career choice, or thought. Your parents might feel for you to be successful in life, you have to go to college, get a degree, be a lawyer, be an accountant, be a doctor, in any of those fields, and then that's defined as success. Now, if you're not in one of those fields, your parents may determine that you're not successful, and you carry that around, and so you don't feel successful because you're not meeting up to their standard. Or it could be the reverse. You actually did what they wanted you to do, and you are successful, but you're not happy because you're successful in something that isn't on your scroll, that isn't a part of your mandate for you to be operating in. And so even though from an outward, external perspective, you're successful, internally, you feel as if you're a fraud and a failure. And these are what brings up these judgments and conclusions and cognitions that we come up with around our own identity, our own authenticness, and how we feel about ourselves. And it plays in a lot to either our resentments, our anger, and stress levels in our lives when we're not operating in the spheres that we know that we want to be in. And so one of the things that you would need to do is ask yourself, what level of courage would I need to have to really live the life that I agreed to in eternity when I stepped into time? What level of courage would I need to walk in? What level of courage am I willing to be to live the life that was meant for me? And that's a very serious question. And it's something that you would need to ask yourself more than once. Because when you really answer that question, as you're going to see, it could ruffle some feathers of other people that are in your life. But this is your life that you have to live. And if you're going to be successful and walk out of fear, we all know the old acronym of what fear is: false evidence appearing real. And, we're spiritual people, and we know that Yahweh has not given us a spirit of fear. He says, I didn't give you that. So that is not something that is natural to you. And this is why it says the fear of success is not about the fear of success. It isn't really. It is about choices, yes. It's about courage, yes. It's about identity, yes. Because if you don't know who you are at your core, you're always going to be imitating somebody else's life or fantasy. And I don't know about you, but at 53 years old, I just don't have time to live anybody else's fantasy. I don't have time to live anybody else's life. I must live that which is on my scroll, that which is resonating in my heart, that is saying, this is who you are. Step into the beauty and the wholeness and the oneness of that. Be you. Because when you be you, all kind of synchronicities and possibilities, unlimitless possibilities start showing up in your life. You can't even begin to figure out how you meet some of the people that you meet. I was out today. I love aquaponics, by the way, because it's another part of business. As I've said before, I like doing, being in this online space but I also love brick and mortar businesses as well, because sometimes these online businesses, they don't really create jobs. And not everybody is called to be an entrepreneur. So there are always going to be people who need to have employment. And if you don't have the entrepreneurs and the successful entrepreneurs in the space, and more importantly, those of us that are spiritual in the space, it will create a lot of disparity. This is my belief in the world. And disparity on levels of living creates crime. It creates a whole lot of things. We could go anywhere in the world, and once you find a people impoverished, you will find criminality in play. And so we actually, as spiritual persons who are entrepreneurs, and I call us KingdomPreneurs because we understand the vastness of what we're creating. There's a saying that says, not really, it is a saying, but it's a scripture, I believe is in Luke, and it says, occupy until I come. And that word literally means to transact business until I come. And so the idea of the spiritual entrepreneur, KingdomPreneur, coming into fullness, yes? Coming into their success. And so you must deal with all of these false evidence that are in your life appearing real that is hindering you from stepping into that success. And so I don't really want to be long today, because I feel when I was working with this, and this has been marinating in my spirit for a couple of days, I actually, why it took me so long to get back to this was Facebook blocked me for a couple of days from posting. And so, I don't know, someplace I posted in one of these groups that I'm in, somebody must have lodged a complaint. So I was restricted from posting in any other groups until yesterday. And so I just waited until Tuesday, actually. And I was going to do it yesterday, but then some things came up and I couldn't get to it. And I came home for something, and I said, you know what? While I'm here, let me get on this and do this very quickly and get it out and go back into what I was doing. But that in itself, you know, is good, because there's a question that I want you to ask yourself. And I'm going to share some more stuff around it. But these are the questions. I have a lot of questions for you today. And these questions will be posted with the video. So just listen for the moment. As I said, it's not about the fear of success. Yahweh did not give us a spirit of fear. Now, Yahweh, by the way, means, some of you would say God. Some of you would say the universe or the creator. I know, and I firmly know and understand and believe Yahweh created the universe, and the universe is in the cosmos. Okay? So the cosmos and the universe didn't just happen. It is a design that is beyond brilliant. And Yahweh is the creator of everything, including you and me. Now, if that offends you, I'm sorry. You know, it is what it is. As I said earlier, I'm going to be me, and I don't have time to be anything else at this point in my life than who I am. And you don't have time to be anything in this life other than who you are, being the best of you, not offensive. But if that does offend you, okay, I'm sorry, and then this is not the space for you to be in, because this is where everything that I do comes out of my relationship with the Father. Okay? And I just felt I needed to say that. So he says, I did not give you a spirit of fear, but I gave you a spirit of love and of a sound mind. And that word there, sound mind, I'm paraphrasing it loosely, it means to having the capacity and the wisdom to discern to discern what is in your environment, what is in your midst, and to make choices based on what you've discerned and what you understand. And it also comes back, that's my phone ringing, but it also comes back out of you knowing what is right and what is wrong, what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, and then walking in that and living from that space. Okay? So he didn't give us a spirit of fear, but he gave us wisdom and he gave us understanding. And he said to be as wise as a serpent, but as harmless as a dove. So all of these things comes in play in part of you being successful and embracing the energy of success, because success is an energy. It's a state of mind. It's a state of being. You have to determine. I can't explain to you, but I feel something coming from the center of my core that is telling me this is my moment, this is my time, and I'm stepping into it. And as I'm stepping into it, I'm connecting with people. Everybody I've met in the last 2 weeks, I did not know they existed. But they happen to be relevant to things that I want to do. And as I said, I was out visiting with somebody today, looking at a particular kind of setup that he has. And, we got into a discussion. I got into a discussion with him because I was in the bank and there was someone in the bank. And I ended up talking to him. He ended up inviting me to a meeting. I go to the meeting. I begin to meet these other people at the meeting. The person who's facilitating the meeting and our energies connected and it clicked. And she invited me to participate in the rest of the program. Mind you, this program is 7 weeks in. And yet she invites me to come into the program and participate in it. And while I'm there, I happen to meet about 4 or 5 other people that share a similar interest I have concerning aquaponics. Do you see what I mean? How to synchronize? When you allow yourself to be who you are and to walk in that space and to create in that space and to operate from that space, people start showing up. Because one of the things that you do is you expand yourself and you invite your resonance, your vibration and your frequency and the vibration of the frequency of those other persons who are in your reality that you don't know, but you have a common purpose, you have a common pathway and direction. And you say, let all of those people that I need, I'm giving you a tool right now, all of those people I need, let my resonance and their resonance match up. Let us come into synchronicity. And they start showing up in your sphere and you start showing up in their spheres. So, but examine yourself, okay? I didn't say judge yourself. Don't get into judgments. But examine your motives and your behaviors. And this is a question I want you to ask yourself. It's not about the fear of success, right? It's the fear of the sacrifices you will make. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that if you become successful and you walk into a certain level of success, you're going to have to make some changes in your life. This is what we spoke about in ambivalence. It's all about change. What hinders you from making that change and stepping into your success is that you're unwilling to make some changes. And sometimes we have, psyched ourselves and said, well, if I did A, it means I wasn't successful. Or if I do a step B or a step C or 1, 2, 3, then it meant that 1 wasn't successful and I had to do this. That's actually a limiting belief, and you need to shift away from it because it will hinder you from making choices that you need to make that will create space for other possibilities and resources and connections and that you need to show up in your space to help you accomplish what it is you want to do. And sometimes we kid ourselves in saying, I can't do this because I asked for that and that hasn't arrived yet, so I'm not going to do this. Or you wanted to do something on a very large scale, and because a choice has presented itself to you to do something on a very smaller scale, or something that doesn't actually seem to be connected to what you wanted to do, but it actually is, if you will expand yourself out, step back from it and look at it from another perception, look at it from another angle, as it were, then you will see the bigger picture and you'll say, oh, because I allowed myself to walk into that possibility. In that space of possibility, things that I need can step in. And when they step in, it allows me to connect back to where actually I want to go. So you're not actually out of alignment or out of sync. It's just that sometimes a pathway is not a direct line. It can have a lot of curves, and you can actually zig back and think you're going backwards just to make another turn that still has you on the same pathway. And that's the beauty about being you. And when you're really being you, everything is easy. Everything begins to step into your space. I asked somebody for something today, and I got a response back, and they weren't able to, oblige with what I was asking for. And I'm telling you, that might have sent me into a little depression a couple, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Today, it just meant that that was one possibility that wasn't the right possibility that I chose, okay? So it allows you to not, remember we spoke about when you think you have a failure, but a failure is just allowing you to see that there's another possibility that's in your midst for you to choose. So it's, it keeps it light and it doesn't make it heavy. So the sacrifices that you will have to make may not be pleasing to people that are already in your midst, because it means adjustments, particularly if you're married or you're in a committed relationship, or if you have children. And when you step into the reality of who you are that will let you be the success that you're meant to be, and you have children, and maybe to step into this success means that you have to move to another state, another county, another city, and it means a big shift for them because they're connected to you in a way where they still have to stay attached to you because of age restriction and obligations. They're still a minor, but it does affect their life. Okay, so there are sacrifices on your part and their part. It could be an opportunity opens up for you when you're married and your spouse says, well, that doesn't work for me. What do? You have to find a happy medium. You have to find that compromise that you're prepared to live with. Are you prepared to have a long distance relationship in order to really be you? And this is where, at some point we're going to get into relationships. And what does it mean to really have a beautiful relationship? But that's for another session. So the sacrifices might mean for you to step into what you want to do. You might have to take a pay cut. You may be making $1 million a year or $3 million a year. I don't know. You could be making $400,000 or $500,000 a year. But for you to step into what you really want to, you will have to give your time and energy to this, and you might have some savings that can allow you to start up your enterprise or whatever it is that you want to do. And but you have to give it 110%. And so it calls for a sacrifice. That's on one level. So you're talking about sacrifices in relationships, sacrifices, and when I say sacrifice, it doesn't mean that, if you're married, you're just going to kick a person to a curb. I said you're going to have to find that medium, that happy medium, that happy compromise that allows you to be you and them to be them and you to be together as a couple or as a family. Sacrifices. Okay? Next question. Who am I really? That comes back to that identity. You are an eternal being. You have always existed. You walk around in earth in this earth suit, but this body dies, but your spirit still lives. So you're an eternal being. You've always been eternal. And you made an agreement with the divine, Yahweh, to come here into this reality at this particular time. You had choices. And you came. And you said, but when I come, this is what I want to do. And this is what you agreed to. There's a scripture in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, that says that we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, prepared for us before the foundation of the world, that we may walk in them. Now, that is a mind-blowing scripture. One thing we can all agree on, whether you believe in Yahweh, whether you believe in God or not, but you call yourself spiritual, you have to know that you are an eternal spirit being. You have always existed, and you always will exist. But that scripture says that there were things prepared for you to walk in. There's another scripture that says there's a volume that is written about you. There's a book that is written about you. And in it pertains everything pertaining to you. All of these things that you are supposed to step into. And it's amazing, a lot of people transition out of this life into eternity without ever fulfilling the mandate that they made to come here. I do not want to do that because I have seen my book. I have seen my scroll. And I'm telling you, I want to fulfill every single living thing that's on it and more. And you should want to do the same. So ask yourself the question, who am I really? I had to reach a place where I was willing to say to my family, I am an entrepreneur. And there was a point when I wasn't willing to work anyplace else. I'm still in that space, but I'm now in that space, what I've always been willing to do, and when I was released to do it, and that might be coming my way now, because when you're beginning to step into the oneness of yourself and who you are, there's a lot of shifting and changing that's taking place and going on. And so, it might be a time when you have to say, okay, to give myself some space economically in my creating and pursuing who I really am and doing what I really want to do as who I really am. Maybe I'll take a night job that allows me to be free all day to pursue and do those other things that I need to do, to be who I am authentically, and to step into that space and operate in that space and work in that space. And so, I was listening to someone earlier, and one of the things she said is that when she started out pursuing what she really wanted to do and it wasn't going the way that she wanted to, the clients weren't showing up the way that she thought they were supposed to show up, and she was dreading the thought of having to go back into corporate America. And so, you know, she had a discussion with her husband, and she said, listen, give me 60 days. But when she allowed herself to step into that space, not from a place of what? Fear, but a space of, I have possibilities now that I didn't allow myself before. Now, in allowing myself to this, I've actually taken some pressure off of myself. I don't feel stressed. I don't feel desperate. And it doesn't mean that I failed. It just means that I'm making an adjustment on the pathway and process to me being and creating and developing that business space, that creative space of business and the energy of it to do what I want to do and to give it the time that it needs to create itself with ease and not with heaviness, not with stress, not with judgments, and not with negative conclusions. Because that puts you in another vibrational, energetic signature that begins to attract the wrong things into your space. You want to stay free. And so ask yourself a question. Who am I really? And am I kind or am I mean? You know, some people, when they get successful, they change. Oh, we say that they changed. No, they didn't change, because success is an amplifier of who you really are at your core. What success does to you is it really exposes who you really are. And a lot of people might be shocked. And this is why the internal energetic work that needs to be done, really, before you step into your success. This is why a lot of people, when they get hit records or have a hit movie and they start making a lot of money, or they win the lottery, within 2 to 3 years, they not only lose all of their money, and they not only have been horrible and horrific to the people that were in their lives, they're also broke. Because one, they never prepared themselves for the wealth that they stepped into. They never did the internal work to explore who they wanted to be and why. So ask yourself, who am I really? Am I kind? Am I mean? What am I? If you had $1 million, what would you do with it? What would you do with 10%? What would you do with 20% of your money? Who would you help? Who would you assist? Who would you give? Or would you just cut everybody off and want to start with a whole new crop of people in your life? And if you have a life and you became successful and there's nobody in your life that you'd want to be a blessing to, man, you need to examine your life, okay? That would be one horrific life to have been living. Instead, I want you to consider those questions, because those are questions that you need to ask yourself. But I also want you to ask yourself these questions, because these questions too are also going to allow you to step into who you really need to be. Ask yourself, what point of view, okay? Ask yourself, what point of view do I desire to have in order to shift into that reality of being success? Because again, I said it earlier, you have to want to be the energy of success, because that attracts people to you. Success is light, real success. And people who know they are when they're successful, they're very light. And the energetic vibration and frequency coming from them is inviting. It's not stuck up or put off or I'm better than you, because real successful people don't feel that way. The Sir Richard Bransons of the world, the Oprahs of the world, they don't act that way. You have people who are not even in their level of billionaire success, and have a couple of $1 million, and all of a sudden they're the rudest people. And we quote unquote divas, or you have the male diva and the female divas. If you knew what a diva was, you wouldn't even want to be a diva. But they're negative. You don't want to be negative. So ask yourself, what point of view? What do I mean by what point of view? I mean, what understandings, what determinations do you need to make to shift into the reality of being success? And one more thing, you have to be success internally before your success externally. Oh man, that's so powerful. I gotta say that again. You have to be success internally before you can be success externally. And that's one of the things where we started off asking the question, the fear of success is not about the fear of success, okay? It is about the points of view of people in your life. It's about whose energetic crap, karma, are you carrying around that's holding you back. You have to take those things and you have to get rid of them. And then you have to step into the energy of yourself. You have to step into the energy of being the thing that you want to be. And you have to step into the energy of being success. It's transformational. Trust, I'm telling you. Okay? Things are happening that you just can't explain. It's mind-bendingly blowing. And I said I'm going to take this a little further because this was supposed to be the last in this session, but I really feel there's some more things here that I want to step into. And so we'll do one more of this. And then I want you to ask yourself another question. Who could you add to your business to create more success? And then I have another way of asking that question. Who could I be that would allow me to create, that I could add? Let me ask it this way. Who could I be that would allow me to connect and collaborate with other people that would add to my business? That could be in the form of collaborations, co-creations. I have here CoCreate. Okay? Co-create. Partnerships. And then when you find that person, just, begin to ask some questions of yourself. What kind of co-creating or collaboration or partnerships are you looking for? How will they work out? How are we going to be mutually beneficial to each other so that everybody that's a part of this co-creating, everybody who's a part of this co-collaborating, everyone who's a part of this partnership is in a win-win position? It's a great question to ask. Final question in this session. What will my business be like in 5 years if I choose this? And then what is it that you might need to choose? When you ask that question, marinate with it for a little bit and allow those possibilities, those limitless possibilities to come up. And then ask yourself, if I choose this and receive this information by allowing and marinating in it for a bit, allowing the awareness of it to come into your space and to come to you, you do have a higher self. There are 5 levels to your soul, by the way. And there's no ego in the upper 3. levels of your soul. Those are the ones, levels of yourself, that you're asking this question to. And by asking that question, you're allowing yourself to step into that space to receive those answers. I don't want you to rush through this. So I'm going to give you a couple of days to marinate over this. And, it's Thursday. On Saturday, I'm going to come back and we'll finish this series up. And then we're going to step into another little mindset that I think that we need to step into. I am really enjoying this. I'm enjoying engaging with you and talking with you, and us engaging together and playing together and looking at the limitless possibilities that are in our lives. And I wanted to share with you in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be starting a 21-day energy pull into a number of different areas of your lives. And I'm going to be putting some information up about that coming soon, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. And so if you're interested in participating in that, it's really going to be great. It's really going to be exciting, but I'll post some information on it, and you'll be able to participate with that. I'm looking forward to engaging and talking to you again, Kingdompreneurs. I really love you guys. I really want all of us to be successful. And more importantly, I want all of us to be successful at what it is that we were really called into this earth to do, because that's where we're going to have the biggest and greatest impact on this world. And I'm telling you something. There are people in this world that are desperately waiting for you. They're waiting for you to show up and be you. Be the successful you that you were meant to be. So if you like this and this resonated with you in any way, please like and subscribe, and also join the Facebook group. Everything is going to be below in the link below this video. I'm loving you guys. I will see you soon and talk to you again real soon. You all have a freaking awesome day. Okay? Bye-bye.